I'm going to talk to my good pal Steve Miller about this education catastrophe now unfolding in America. So welcome back, Steve Miller. Pardon me for my digression, but I wanted to get in a little Earth Day stuff. Now, Steve Miller is a former senior advisor to President Trump. He is the president of America First Legal. Steve, I just want to begin with Joe Biden's obsessions with DEI that I think have spawned this wave of anti-Semitism and campus violence. Let me get your take on that piece of the story.
Well, yes, it's all connected, Larry. So DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is about using the power of the state to advance a radical left Marxist agenda. It wraps itself in the banner of race, but fundamentally, Larry, it's a vehicle for establishing state control over every aspect of our lives. And they're pushing this poisonous ideology to deconstruct Western systems, Western heritage, Western beliefs, and Western law. Individualism, limited government, all of it borders everything. They're pushing it in our universities day after day. And of course, that's leading to the kinds of radical pro-Hamas demonstrations that are taking place now. So of course, Joe Biden owns that, every bit of it. But this is also connected to the war against Donald Trump in our legal system as well, too. Because justice is no longer blind, Larry. They're not using the Department of Justice. They're not using left-wing prosecutors in New York and elsewhere to go after Hamas supporters in our country who are terrorizing Jews, terrorizing Americans, and terrorizing their fellow students. They're using the power of law, the power of the state, only to persecute their enemies. Not to go after criminals, not to go after drug dealers, not to go after felons, not to go after criminal aliens, not to go after even murderers, not to go after Hamas sympathizers. The power of the state is being used to go after Joe Biden's political enemies. So all of this is connected. It's about the destruction of the Western system of law in this country.
I don't see any, Steve Miller, I don't see any effort by Biden or his Justice Department or his FBI, for example, to deal with the crimes of hate speech and hate crime actions. I don't see any deal. Every one of these schools should be subjected to that discipline. There are laws on the books for many years against hate crimes and hate speech, for that matter. And I don't see these presidents, Columbia, Yale, it doesn't really matter. I don't see any of them, nor do I see the trustees of these schools taking any action. And so my question is why? These are clearly hate crimes. Why aren't they doing something about it? And the they includes Biden and his Justice Department.
Yeah, this is civil rights law is what we're talking about here, Larry. So, as an example, just a few days ago, maybe your audience is familiar with this, Joe Biden and his EEOC, right, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, took legal action against a chain of convenience stores for having background checks, just background checks, saying that violated civil rights law. And yet here on these college campuses, you have plain black letter violations of federal civil rights law. Students' fundamental civil rights are being violated through violent intimidation, through aggressive physical confrontation, clear violations of civil rights. Biden's Justice Department is nowhere to be seen. Joe Biden is nowhere to be seen because, again, he's not using civil rights law to uphold equal and impartial justice. He uses it only to go after his enemies, to advance his agenda, to go after the targets that he and his DOJ and his FBI have in their sights. There are many threats, Larry, to the future of this country and the West. But surely the greatest of them all is the politicization of our law enforcement from an instrument of justice and neutrality into an instrument of political vengeance. And that is what is happening every day under Joe Biden.